Hi guys, welcome back to Infinite Possibilities, the podcast where we explore the lives of amazing people, their choices, challenges and opportunities. And today I have a very special guest, Levi. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being on the pod.
Anytime.
Yeah, so Levi, what is your kind of 1 minute introduction? What do you do?
So currently working as an analyst in KPMG in Enterprise Audit and Assurance. Outside of my work life though, I work with a few different musical projects, the main one at the moment being Benjii. We're a local Asian band and we specialise in like indie rock and good, fun, happy times with the boys, yeah, so that's good. I also work with a few other projects including like Concrete Cowboy.
Wow.
And I'm trying to get my own personal solo project off the ground at the moment, and that would just be Levi, but like spelt Levai. Anyway,
Oh,
yeah,
very cool, very
It's all
cool.
happening.
Yeah, living a bit of a double life.
Yeah,
so-
a little bit. Accountant by day,
Yeah.
music maestro by
Yeah. There you go. So that's pretty awesome. So we really want to start at the beginning and see how you got to where you are. So Levi, what kind of child were you like growing up?
That's such a good question. I think I was a pretty quiet and reserved
Not
kid.
surprised.
Yeah, I was. I like my family moved around a lot as a kid. We spent a lot of time up in the Pilbara, working on different like oil and gas projects. Like my dad was focused on a lot of those oil and gas projects growing up. So we spent a lot of time in the Pilbara, moving back up north and south over in Western Australia. I spent a lot of my teenage years over here in Queensland, which is why I'm here again now. I've had I guess you would call it a sabbatical up in Darwin for 2 years as well before moving here.
Ooh, very spicy. We'll
yeah.
explore that later.
Yeah. So I've spent a lot of time on the road as a kid. Very, very quiet kid. I wanted to be an author when I was a child, I think. I think that was a big thing. I was really into Andy Griffiths and Paul Jennings.
Oh, yeah,
so I
I
wanted
love
to
them. Yeah,
I wanted to
classics.
write just a bunch of cool kids stories, and yeah, I think that's pretty much summarizes it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And since you moved around a lot, how was school for you? Like, how was it making friends, and then to leave and then restart and repeat?
It was hard as a kid. It was very difficult. Because I was just a bit of an awkward child. So, yeah. So it was definitely harder when I was like a kid. As a teenager, it got a lot easier. And I started picking up different hobbies and things like that and getting a bit more comfortable in my skin and reaching out to people. But, I always had friends wherever I went. So I always had like little best friends that I would
That's so cute.
ride around the neighborhood with. But yeah, I was a bit of a quiet, odd kid. So, yeah, it was nothing too out of the ordinary. It was just a bit manic moving all the time. So
Yeah, did you hate moving as a kid?
I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. It wasn't until I was like 20 that I was thinking I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
As a kid, it was just like a fun little adventure that we did because we were always together like as a family. I'm in a family of like 4 siblings, including myself, and my mum.
Wow,
and
that's a
my dad.
party, man. You
Yeah.
got like a big van or something?
Yeah, mum and dad owned a caravan for a while. I think that's gone, unfortunately. But yeah, like it was all of us together on the road. So yeah, it was
Who
fun.
needs friends when you got 4 siblings, man?
Yeah. Oh well, 3 siblings,
Including
4,
yourself.
including
Yeah.
myself. Yeah.
Are they like older sisters?
No, they're all younger than me. Yeah, I was the
Wow.
oldest. So
The responsible child?
yeah, definitely internalized that growing up. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So that's cool. So you sort of like actually lived in the van, or were you moved to a place?
No,
and
that
then-
was a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
Look, no. Thankfully, like because Dad worked in oil and gas, a lot of these companies would pay for the rent allowance like out of hand. So we always had like a roof over our heads and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but,
that's good to know.
But I think even like for instance, I lived in Karratha for 2 years, and we were in I think 3 separate houses when we lived there, just because like the rental.
Yeah.
The rental periods would be quite short.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of different houses, a lot of different spaces growing up as a kid. So like I'd be in a town for maybe 2.5 years, and I would be in maybe 2 or 3 houses at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So like a lot of
Change all
a lot
the
of
time.
change all the time.
Yeah, even like change within the same place.
Yeah,
It's just like
yeah.
jumping around house to house.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And tell me more about school. So how did you sort of fit in the school environment? So you were the quiet kid. Were you sporty? You know, did you like music at the time, or
Yeah, I think
you loved English?
yeah, I really did like English a lot, and I was pretty good at maths, which, you know, go figure.
Yeah.
Accountant
Yeah.
trades, it's such a lie, but yeah, it was definitely not a sporty kid at all. I think I tried really hard for a while because in WA everyone is manic about AFL.
Yeah.
You know, like go West Coast Eagles, of course, like screw Freo. Don't know if I'm allowed to say that, sorry, but we'll beep that out later. Yeah, no, I had terrible hand-eye coordination, so I was just not a sporty kid. I think I really liked video games. I really liked being sort of inside, making comic books, reading books. Yeah, I was pretty quiet for a long time until I was about 11, and I think my music teacher one day just was like, "Oh, Levi, we've got people like the administrative board is interested in some students doing like brass instruments. Do you want to learn how to play trumpet?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, sure, okay." And so like before I ever picked up a guitar, I was learning how to play trumpet, which was really cool. And I played trumpet all throughout high school. Yeah, so that was like a turning point, was when I actually got into music, and my parents had like a lot of music in the house all the time. So
cool.
yeah, so I think I watched like Nirvana's Unplugged session from like 1994. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to play guitar. So I picked up a guitar a couple of months after I picked up the trumpet, and yeah, that became my entire personality from that point onwards. It was all about being a muso and getting creative. So
yeah. Was it love at first sight with the guitar?
Not really. It was funny. Like it was a mix of two things. I kind of, it was wanting to be a rock star, but it was also when I moved towns again when I was around 11, and at the new school there was this other new kid who started at the same time as me, and he was already like a really good guitar player.
Wow.
But he also got along a lot better with everyone than I did. Like he fitted in a lot better than I did.
Much cooler than
Levi.
Levi.
He was cooler than me. And so in kind of like almost like a little bit of a jealous tangent to it, I was like, I want to get better at guitar than he does, so I can be like that. So it was like a mix of wanting to be a rock star, but also
that's so awesome.
yeah.
Wow. And did you guys end up becoming good friends?
Yeah, we ended up playing in a band and stuff together.
So
That was
awesome.
my very, very first band. I think, what were we called? We were Distorted Figure. Yeah, we played mainly covers. I think it doesn't exist anymore, but we had a song up on Triple J Unearthed in like 2011. I can't even remember what it was called, but yeah, that was my very, very first band, was Distorted Figure.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very short-lived.
Yeah, and then tell me more about trumpet. So you're like definitely like 90% more leaning towards guitar, but you still kept up trumpet throughout.
Yeah. I did a lot of brass work at school. I played from the age of from year 6 to all the way through to year 12, and I was in concert bands and jazz bands and stuff. So
did you still like it? Were you like, yeah, trumpet?
Yeah, like it was good. I just guitar was a bit more fun in my mind's eye. It's ironic after all these years. Like I actually really want to pick up trumpet again, and I kind of suck. It takes a while because it's such a different methodology, using like
Your mouth
and your lungs, and your nomenclature changes over time. So I need to relearn that, and but I was pretty good at trumpet as a kid. Like it wasn't the greatest ever, but like I could definitely hold a tune. So
yeah, that's awesome, because if you play trumpet, then right in the middle of a piece, play your trumpet, put it down, whack out some guitar. Like how cool would that be to just do both?
I have done it once at a gig
That's
last
sick.
year. It was yeah, I just pulled it out and everyone went wild because no one was expecting it.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was definitely fun. I haven't done it again, but look, it's definitely on the cards. So.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. And then so when high school was sort of wrapping up and you're thinking about the future, what was sort of floating through your mind?
At the time, it was doing
Musician.
No, oh, well, yeah, look, I wanted to do that originally, but my parents were very adamant that I pursue like a career path that was going to pay me money. And as the years have gone by, I have very much appreciated that advice, because music is a bit of a money pit of an industry. But originally I wanted to do IT. I wanted to study my IT degree. I think I was going to do, I think it was information systems or business systems. But spoilers, I moved again. So my original uni plans and everything completely changed. Like, so I ended up going back to, I was living in Queensland when I graduated. I was up in Gladstone, and I graduated from Tannum Sand State High School, for all the listeners who might know about that school. And I moved back to Western Australia, and I just sort of wasn't sure what to do, because I had not really planned for that at all, and neither had my parents really, in terms of what that looked like for me from a career perspective. So I sort of started small, and I went to TAFE to get my diploma in IT networking, and I really enjoyed that. That was actually really, really fun. And then, spoiler alert, I moved again. I moved again a year later, just as I was wrapping up the diploma. So that's when I was in Darwin.
Yeah, why'd you move, man? Was it parents, like their job and whatnot?
Dad couldn't get a job. Yeah, it was a bit of a shame. The economy in Western Australia at the time was not great. This was like around 2016, and I think just in his line of work, he just it didn't quite work out. But he got work up in the Northern Territory, and so up we went, and I sort of was in a few IT roles for a while there. I was doing like IT support for the Northern Territory government.
Nice. We'll hit you up with IT questions.
I'm still like the IT support dude on most of the teams.
I love it.
But I think at the time it just wasn't really where I wanted to be. Like, I didn't really want to be in Darwin long term, and it also just was kind of umming and ahhing about that career trajectory as well. So like I decided to get on board with what my dad was doing, actually, like, because he was sort of doing a contracted work for Shell, which was great. And so there was it's a bit nepotistic, of course, but I got a position to work with him on that role, and I really, really liked it. It was very different. It was like supply chain and logistics related, like
that's cool.
Sort of getting offshore waste and processing it onshore. So like very on the ground in the warehouse. Got my forklift ticket. That was great. Very, very enjoyable.
A lot of fun. Very like hands-on, huh?
Yeah. And so that was good. I actually didn't mind that. But yeah, I think
why not just let that be your life, Levi?
yeah, real salt of the earth, just cooking in the Darwin sun. It was fun. But yeah. Okay, that was a bit of a tangent, but
no, it was good. But yeah, so after that, then you like went to university and studied accounting. Was that the kind of timeline? Yeah,
because essentially what happened at the end of that time in Darwin, my dad got another job back in WA. So it was this. There was a few options in terms of like, am I going to stay in Darwin? Am I going to go back to Perth with my family, or am I going to go back to Brisbane?
Yeah.
I had lived in Brisbane briefly when I was 16, and I had all my friends from Central Queensland were here as well. They were still studying. Awesome. Everyone was in a central place, and I was just thinking, I'm sick of this. Like, I loved Brisbane. I wanted to go back. So I decided to make the move. And so I moved over, I packed my bags, I left home.
Wow, all by yourself. Ooh.
Yeah, all by myself. And I started my degree at the same time, because I think I was at a point where I just wanted something a bit more. I wanted to get a uni qualification. I had always wanted to go to uni out of school, and I think at the time I was just feeling a bit lost. But I started to stick to to the plan. And
Wow.
yeah.
And so how did one decide they wanted to be an accountant at the time?
It was so funny. Part of it was my mum. Mum was just like,
I'm not
like,
surprised.
because we had a few accountant friends. She's like, they get paid really well. It's like really stable work.
Stable for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I wanted something that was just a bit stable, and also, accounting is a pretty broad degree in terms of its
Yeah, you
application.
can go into any other fields. Later.
Yeah, any industry, any, and even within accounting, the roles that you can have, like, cost accounting, management accounting. It's not just audit, it's not just financial reporting.
Yeah, got that variety.
Yeah. So, and it was a great skill set. Look, I don't regret getting that degree at all. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And then tell me also about IT. When did that sort of come into your mind? How did you, from high school, you're like, yeah, I want to do IT. Did you see something on the TV?
Oh, yeah, that's probably some good things. I was always really good with computers, like always.
Then it
yeah,
sort of made sense.
I was really good with computers. I think I got the academic award in year 12 for IT because I was top of the class, and I was good. So yeah.
And what aspect of IT were you like, this is not really for me?
I think it was the prospect of, because I did systems administration specific work, the prospect of potentially ending up in a career where I'd be like on call at 3 a.m. and stuff like that. Because I think that's the good thing about accounting is, like, if something goes wrong, you can pretty much always reverse it. There's a trail, like you post a journal and it's incorrect. It's like, oh, whoops, let's reverse it, let's fix it. IT, specifically systems administration, if something goes wrong and like a server fails or like the system goes down, you are under the pump because no one can do anything. So
that is a lot of responsibility.
I think I kind of saw that potentially coming if I wanted to get like a better income, and I thought, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. So yeah, and I think at the time I was just still a little lost, I think, truth be told.
Yeah, a lot of people probably can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tell me about the 2-year sabbatical.
So
that was before you came to UQ, right?
Yeah, when I say sabbatical, I mean it was just that period of time in Darwin where, like, I was sort of finding myself. The work situation was there, and it was just something that we had not really planned for as a family or myself. And it was sort of just growing from that period of time after school where you're trying to figure out what you want to do, essentially. And it was a pretty unique experience. Darwin is a very, very fun and interesting place, but it is so isolated as well. And I think I felt the distance from everyone. It was a very lonely time, unfortunately. It's just, like, I had my family there, and that was excellent. But
still, it's like, friends if they're so far away.
Yeah, and I didn't really have a support network and stuff. But it was a cool time. Like, I learned a bunch of stuff IT-wise. Like, I was really getting into, like, Linux software. I don't know if you know that, but, like, I was, like, learning all that stuff. I was learning how, like, synthesizers worked in my spare time.
Oh, wow, you were, like, deep.
Yeah, I was just, like, focusing on very niche specific stuff. For, like, music production, I bought a bunch of really good music equipment and was just learning how to produce, how to mix. I was getting better guitar equipment and stuff, so, like, that was fun, just playing in my room really loud.
Whoa,
it was upsetting mum and dad. It was fun.
Yeah, and during those 2 years, do you think it was, like, did you really dig deep into music, and is that sort of what helped, or like?
I think so, yeah. I think I found a lot of solace in just finding a lot of really unique artists and a lot of really unique sounds and stuff, and so it definitely has played into, like, a lot of what I do now from my personal creative point of view. And so that was good,
The beginning of the musician. From the darkness.
Like the true muso, no longer doing just covers and stuff, so it was good.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think a lot of people, especially my audience, I think a bunch of them, university and whatnot, feeling quite lost, not really sure what to do. Is there any sort of tips you have for them? I know you're, like, still young and whatnot, but and especially maybe, like, how to cope through, like, a lot of uncertainty as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get so stressed that you got to be on this pathway, or you kind of got to have stuff figured out from the get-go, and that's just not true at all. I think the more time goes on, the more I just enjoy the process of just learning new things, like figuring out what I like and what I don't like. And being comfortable with the fact that things don't always go to plan, but as long as you are willing to, put your foot out there, like put your best foot forward, learn new skills, just develop a sense of self, a sense of like a deeper purpose than just maybe what your ultimate career aspirations are, because you might not necessarily know what that is, or it might change, and that's okay. I'm still learning that, it doesn't go away. It's just part of the process.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's like be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And like I think like a good analogy is when I moved to Brisbane, I had some friends who were like actually finishing their degrees. And I was like, oh man, I'm so far behind. Like people are they're finishing up. I'm never going to catch up, blah, blah, blah. And, I've finished my uni degree now, like 3-4 years later. And I've still got mates who are still in uni. Some of them are still not done. But also, it's not...
Just go at your own pace, man.
Yeah, it's not a race. It's like everyone's doing their own thing. It's no use trying to compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, and you really don't know how people are feeling. Like that person graduated, got the most prestigious job, looking like they've got everything, but maybe they're like, maybe I wish I was a Levi.
just get on the path, but don't be scared of,
trying something
else, or like maybe the path isn't like a straight and narrow road.
Yeah, that's cool. And then now let's talk about your music career. So how did it all start, and like when did you sort of start going like, yeah man, let's do this band? You did like a few iterations before Benjii, right? So.
Yeah. So I spoke very briefly about my first band when I was 13. That was Distorted Figure. That was fun.
Okay, why the name?
I think I just thought it sounded cool at the time. I was like, this is awesome. Man. When you're 12, you're like that's great. We just wanted to play like a bunch of Nirvana songs. And like Foo Fighters. We were really into those bands. And then I moved to Gladstone, and I started another band when I was there. And
you were the lead, like, initiator for these bands.
Yeah, typically.
And how did you decide you wanted to create a band? Like, you could have like kept it private and just did your own thing in your room and just keep annoying your parents. But like, why take it to the world?
It's fun to play with other people, and I realized that I really liked performing. It was a really good way for me to actually get comfortable in front of crowds and stuff. I was always so nervous being in front of people, but it was a massive confidence booster. Learning how to play in front of, like 1,000 people at a time. It was like, cool. Oh my goodness. But I think, it was just fun to play with other people and play really loud rock songs with other people and share that with the world, with my schoolmates, and everyone really enjoyed it. So it was fun. Awesome. So I think in Gladstone, I had my second band, and we were actually a band for a really long time. I think right up until COVID. Actually, we sort of we never had a name in high school, but it was me, my mate James, and my mate Michael. Michael was the drummer, James was the bass player. And so we used to play together in high school. We never ever learned a band name. I think we did a couple of gigs, and we just we were just like an untitled band on the roster. And then I moved away, and so we...
Distorted Figures number 2.
Yeah, Distorted Figure 2, Electric Boogaloo or something. But I was away for like those few years, obviously. But then when I came back to Brisbane, we were all living here, and they're like, hey, like, we should get the band back together. Wow. And so we actually did pretty well for a couple of months. This was the end of 2019, so you may know how the story goes with what happened in 2020. But
spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Sorry, guys. But we finally figured out a band name, which is Scoops, which I think this is a PG-rated podcast, so I probably can't explain the meaning of that name. It's like,
Actually, not necessarily PG. That's it.
oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe not work appropriate, but anyway, we can talk about it after the podcast.
Sounds good.
But yeah, we started playing some shows like in like Fortitude Valley and stuff like that.
Ooh.
We played with one of my favorite local bands at the moment, Melaleuca. It was their second ever show, but now they're getting pretty big. They just released an EP last Friday, and they do like tours all up and down the coast. I'm plugging Melaleuca for the podcast because I love those guys. That was our first show, so we played at the Bright Side, and then we got popular pretty quickly, like just because we had a lot of friends that would come see us. It was lovely. We got to play down on the Gold Coast. We got to play at Empire Hotel. We played at Tomcat. We played, I think, at Rick's as well, like Rick's Backyard. We did a couple of really good shows. And it was going pretty well. And then, then COVID happened. So a couple of things happened with that. I think first of all, we couldn't see each other and we couldn't practice because everyone was at home. But also James started med at UQ. So James has his undergraduate in psychology with honours.
Yeah. And
then he started his medical career. So very, very smart cookie, but that just meant that he had absolutely no time for the band, unfortunately. So it kind of was a bit umming and ahhing across the year as to whether or not we'd come back together. And we actually did start rehearsing again near the end of 2020. But then Michael moved to the Sunshine Coast, and that just killed it. It was unfortunately all over. But it wasn't for naught because around the same time I started Benjii. Yeah. And so with Benjii, that was a completely different crew of guys. So our drummer Isaac, I actually went to school with him in Gladstone. So he knew me and Michael and James, but he was a couple of years younger than me. I think it's like 2 years younger. Yeah. And we sort of had kept in touch a little bit while I'd been gone for the 2-3 years that I was away. And you know, he'd come down to the city to study music at JMC. So he was a muso, and I met some of the other bandmates through him, just across 2019 actually. So my co-writer in Benjii, Hamish, I met at Isaac's 19th birthday party in 2019. I rocked up in like a Radiohead t-shirt or something, and he was like, "Oh, dude, I love your t-shirt." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, dude." Yeah. And then there's this band that I really like called Modern Baseball, and I was wearing like a Modern Baseball hat. Yeah. So it's like obscure like Midwest emo band from like America, and he like came back 2 or 3 minutes later. And he's like, "Oh, you're wearing the hat." And I'm like, "Yeah. Oh, you love those." So we became best of friends that night.
That is so cute.
Yeah.
Be proud and just wear what shows something about you.
Yeah, pretty much. I was just wearing some merch, but we became best friends because he loved those bands and I love those bands. So, so we met through Isaac, and then we have our good friend Lockie on the bass. He's just a bit of a maestro. He does like production, he does recording, mixing, mastering. He does everything. Doesn't even like playing guitar. He just does it because we ask him to. He's actually like a real homie about it.
That's kind of cute.
And so we started playing together around the sort of third, fourth quarter of 2020, and I think we were just doing practice for 4 or 5 months, and then we we'll formalize this, and we started getting some shows booked. And I think our first show was 25th of January, I think, in 2021. So it was really fun, and the rest is history. Like, we've started releasing a few singles and stuff over the last year and a half, and anyway.
Damn, that's so cool. And how does one get their first gig booked? Like, that must feel a bit daunting.
It can be a bit daunting, but I guess it's just a case of like sending out emails and
cold emailing.
Yeah, it's straight up just emailing venues saying, "Hey, like, this is what we sound like. Here's our MP3. Yeah. We'd love to play a show." And so we got booked on this as an opener for this band called Valleys on 25th January 2021. That was our first show. And I think we ended up pulling like a bigger crowd than they did. It was nice.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, all our friends came along, and it was a good time, and they've been coming along ever since.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. And tell me about the name Benjii.
So the name Benjii, it's actually my little brother's name is Benjamin.
Oh, that's cute.
So we were so stuck on names. I think we spent 2 or 3 months trying to like it was getting ridiculous. Like we could not figure something out.
Distorted figures number 3.
yeah. Like we would I would come up with a suggestion and Hamish would be like, oh, I don't like that, or he would come up with something and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if that fits. It was a bit of a Paul and John sort of situation for a little bit. We were both kind of, I don't want to, we gotten better at it, but we were both a little bit of divas back then, I think.
Yeah.
But eventually I think I was just throwing stuff out there and I was like, what about like Elena or Benjii? And like, those are my siblings' name. And then Hamish was like, oh, I actually really like Benjii. And so we decided to stick with it.
How's your little brother feel about that?
I'm not sure. I think he's like, oh, that's cool. and that's it. I don't think he really cares too much at all.
Yeah, well, that's kind of sweet. Yeah, but Benjii with 2 eyes, yeah?
Yeah, 2 eyes.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty cool. Nice. And then tell me more about Benjii. So what kind of music and what's your sort of like, kind of like rehearsal? How do you fit it in with like work and whatnot?
Yeah, so we play alternative rock and shoegaze. A big focus on sort of texture and melody within our tracks. Very atmospheric sort of sound to it. But it can get pretty loud, pretty aggressive as well. I feel like we're getting probably heavier with our music as we go along, which is fun. But in terms of rehearsals, it can be a little patchy at times, but I think we got into a pretty good rhythm of doing, probably fortnightly rehearsals, 3 or 4 hours a week, every Sunday. Yeah. That's typically what we do. And there's a few different rehearsal spots around the city that you can choose from, but we go to Via Studios, which is in Albion, I think, Bowen Hills.
Bowen Hills. Nice.
Yeah. So that's typically our rehearsal schedule. But we do a lot of, like a lot of contacts in terms of, here's like this song idea I had. Do you want to add anything to it? Do you have any thoughts? And so we go back and forth, external to rehearsal.
Yeah, that's cool. Always just kind of brainstorming and got the group chat thing going.
Yeah, the group chat.
Yeah, that's cool. And what about yourself? Do you play guitar every day? Is that a thing?
I'm actually so bad when it comes to practice.
One of those. Oh,
I know. It's actually terrible. I used to be so on top of it when I first started, and it's the reason I got really good really quickly was I would practice probably like 2 hours a day when I was 11, like a lot of practice. And that's, for anyone who's listening, that is how you get good at anything, but it's especially true for instruments. You have to practice. I've gotten a little bit lazy over the last couple of years because I think I consider myself more of a songwriter, so I'm more focused on writing the song rather than practicing the specific instrument. But I think I spend a lot more time noodling around with synthesizers behind a mixing desk, like figuring out different components of a song rather than focusing on the guitar as an instrument. I need to get better at it though. I just need to practice more.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, but like you're still, like your passion is still in music. Like you might not actually be playing the guitar, but you're still dabbling in music stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I have like my software and I'll get like a drum beat going and get some synthesizers.
And no one sees Levi for days.
Yeah, yes, pretty much. Like I'm just locked in my room. Just like these huge speakers. It's fun. Yeah,
that's cool. And then tell me about your songs. Like, do you want to talk about a particular song and how did you come up with it? That's a big question.
Yeah, sure. I think I'll talk about the first song that we released, and it was called New Song.
New Song?
Yeah, it's still called New Song.
Those names.
It's so funny because it is not a new song anymore, but it's fun.
The new song that never gets old.
Yeah, yep, exactly. It's originated from like a guitar riff that I just made up by myself, and sort of I'd noodled a little vocal melody over the top of it, And I had all the parts, I had all the arrangement sort of set out, and then I gave it to Hamish. He listened to it and he thought, okay, like we can sort of change the arrangement in this spot. We can move something here, make this bit a bit longer. And then we sort of collaborated together in terms of what the song would actually be about. So we had the melody and we had everything ready. We needed to figure out a way to get lyrics that would actually pair up with the melody and with the rhythm. So Hamish unfortunately was not going through a great relationship at the time.
That's good material.
It makes great songwriting material. So it ended up, the song was actually just about essentially like, leaving a bad relationship with a person who shall not be named for legal reasons. But it was that was the origination of the song, and I feel like most people can relate to something like that. Just getting out of not a great situation and just feeling renewed as well. Like we have a music video that sort of reflects those lyrics as well, where it's filmed in reverse, and the person anyway, that's an entire different tangent, but it's very much a song about escaping a bad situation, building yourself back up again, and
a story of hope.
And I think that's like most of our songs. A lot of our songs are just very hopeful.
Yeah.
Even if they can be a bit sad, there's still this sense of optimism. There's still this sense of hope with all of them, and that carries through with pretty much every single song we make, which is good. It's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Cool. And then, do you have any favorite songs? And is your the way you come up with music, is it sort of in a similar way where you sort of dabble around and find the melody and then you guys put the lyrics to it?
Yeah. So I think some favourite songs, that's always such a big question.
Yeah.
But I think I do still take that Nirvana approach from way back when I was a kid. Because what Kurt Cobain would do is he would essentially create the chord structure and create the melody, and then he would have lyrics to fit the melody. So we still do that. I think in terms of what we currently do with our current songwriting process, Hamish will come up with a guitar riff and maybe like a rough melody idea. He'll send it to me, see what I think. I usually go through and I say okay, we should refine it in this area, we should add these bits here. Or vice versa, I'll send something to him and he'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we go from there, we give it to Lockie and to Isaac, and
that's so cool.
we'll figure out an arrangement together as a band, and So that's typically the process. When it comes to lyric writing, I actually hate writing lyrics. It's such a disconnect from me wanting to be a writer as a kid. I actually really don't like the process. And I always prefer writing with someone else.
Yeah.
So typically, if I'm writing lyrics, I'll be doing it with Hamish. But Hamish is usually pretty happy to take it on board himself if it's him in the driver's seat. So,
that's pretty good. It's pretty good teamwork, huh?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's always better working in a team.
Yeah, true. And then also take us to KPMG Enterprise. Tell us what's the other side of the double life. What do you guys do there?
Well, we provide audit assurance over our financial statements for a bunch of different small and medium-sized entities across Australia. So we do family businesses, ASX 200 plus listed companies. I think we do a bunch of schools and colleges and etc. So that's really good.
That's cool. Day in the life. Ooh.
Oh, day in the life.
You wake up 8:30, time to come to work.
8:30, I'm late.
Yeah. Relatable.
No, well, I think I know it's such a cop-out answer, but it really does depend on the day. I can give a breakdown of some of the tasks we do. So some of that might be doing analytical procedures over company accounts.
Are we saying mostly Excel work or?
A lot of Excel spreadsheets.
Nice.
I think it's a really common accounting trope that people start having dreams about Excel spreadsheets after a while. It's weird. It is a weird thing, but it does happen. So we'd be doing analytical procedures over certain accounts. We'll be testing revenue, making sure the revenue actually exists for different companies and things like that. we'll be preparing financials, which is good. Making sure all the numbers match up, making sure it's all accurate.
Yeah.
Making sure there's no weird formatting issues. That's always good. Usually liaise with tax and stuff, for tax workings. That's usually like a cross component of enterprise, because like the way that enterprise works compared to the larger ARC division within KPMG is enterprise is essentially like a firm within a firm, which is why that's how they like to describe it. So that's why we sort of manage all those smaller entities and things like that. But there's a lot of opportunity to provide work to different service lines, such as enterprise tax or enterprise advisory.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, nice.
Yeah, I think that's like the broad overview of what we do.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Cool. So we're nearly at the end of the podcast. Just a few more questions. So the deep one. What do you think the meaning of life is, Levi?
Well, for me, my personal analysis is to enjoy yourself and spend quality time with your loved ones.
Yeah,
I guess.
That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. And then the fun question is, so if you won the lottery tomorrow, what would you do differently about your life?
You would never see me again.
Wow, okay, cool.
I would never tell anybody. I would immediately get legal representation, put it all into a trust, probably some sort of investment portfolio as well. Where would I move? Probably to Italy. Yeah, Italian villa.
So if we see on Facebook you're in Italy, I'm like,
no,
Levi.
No, the Facebook is getting deleted. Yep, and just live out the rest of my days content. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. Sorry, Karen.
And the Benjii Boyband.
Look,
can we still like visit you there?
Yeah. Look, maybe Benjii will keep releasing music. And they'll be like, oh, that's weird. We don't know what happened to Levi. Like, he just disappeared one day. But you know, like they're still releasing music, which is great. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's cool. And the final question is, what is an ideal day in the life for you? It can be work-related, it can be non-work related.
An ideal day in the life for me? I think probably waking up at like 6, start off the day.
That's pretty early.
Yeah, no, like early morning would be good.
Okay.
Maybe do a bit of yoga
Nice,
or some
that's
running, something to like revitalize some movement of some sort. I'd like to go do like a nice little photo walk and take pictures. I didn't talk about that, but I take a lot of photos and stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, take some photos for maybe an hour
That's
or two.
how we're going to track you down.
Yeah. Look at the metadata.
Yeah.
Take some photos, probably do some journaling for maybe an hour, just like do some deep contemplation.
Yeah.
A bunch of reading, probably like try to read for 2, maybe 3 hours. And then the Arvo can just be dedicated to like more creative stuff. So maybe I'll do some painting, maybe I'll learn how to paint. Maybe I'll practice some trumpet and guitar.
Yes, trumpet.
Yep. And then I'll just make myself a really nice Whole Foods dish of some sort for dinner, and with my loved ones around me. And that'll be the ideal day. Aw,
that's really awesome. Yeah. Nice and simple and creative. That's cool. So we're at the end of the podcast. Want to say bye?
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.